Hi Silem stars, you're welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to make this beautiful Danshiki Aso-oke dress with fringes. So if you want to see how we make this, definitely keep on watching.
Oh, hey, I didn't see you there.
Now I used less than half a pack of Aso-oke to make this dress. So for the Aso-oke now, the first thing we're going to do is to measure the length that we want. So the length that I want my dress to be is 37 inches. I actually want it to be 36 inches, but I'm adding 1 inch allowance to that. Now I'm going to be cutting the front and the back together. There will be no joining on the shoulder. So since I want it to be 37 inches, I'll do 37 multiplied by 2. So 37 times 37, and that gave me 74 inches. So the length of my Aso-oke piece now is 74 inches. Now this is just for one piece. Now for the width of my dress, I want my dress to be as wide as 4 Aso-oke pieces joined together. Okay, so if you're on the bigger side, you can join 5 Aso-oke pieces together to make it wider for you. So it depends on how big you are and how big you want the piece to be. So for me, like I said, I'm going to be joining 4 pieces of this Aso-oke. Now these Aso-oke, they are all 74 inches long. Okay, they are all 74 inches long. So I simply just cut 4 pieces that were 37 inches long. All right, now I'm going to place them side by side and I'm going to join them together. I'm going to show you how to do the joining on my sewing machine as well. When it comes to joining your Aso-oke pieces, you want to place them side by side, but make sure that they overlap with about quarter of an inch. Okay, make sure they overlap with about quarter of an inch, not 1 inch. This is too much. Not half an inch, quarter of an inch. Okay, make sure that you're looking at the right side for both pieces. Normally when we are sewing, we sew the right side facing the right side of the other piece like this, and then we sew on the wrong side. But for this Aso-oke, you sew facing the right side of the piece. Make sure that you are facing the right side of the piece, and then just overlap it slightly, and then just sew a straight stitch at the edge of the piece on top. So you keep doing that all the way to the end. Now after joining the pieces, it's time for us to draft and cut. So this is what the piece looks like once we're done joining it. So as you can see, I folded it lengthwise, and then I'm also folding it widthwise as well, as you can see. Okay, so fold it along the length and then fold it along the width. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to mark our neck depth. Now this neck depth I'm marking is for the back, and the neck depth I'm using for the back is 1 inch. Then for the neck width, I'm using 3 inches for both the front and the back. Now I'm going to connect that depth to the width with a curve to create my back neckline. So that's what my back neckline looks like. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to unfold it widthwise, and then I'm going to now unfold it lengthwise, and then fold it again widthwise. Now I've gone ahead to mark where that shoulder is, which is that folding, and then I'm going ahead to mark my 3 inches neck depth for the front. So the neck depth for the front is 3 inches. So this neckline is a round neckline and then a V neckline at the bottom. So from that shoulder I just marked 6 inches downwards. Okay, so the curved neckline is 3 inches and then the V neckline part is 3 inches as well, making the neck depth for the front a total of 6 inches. So now I'm just cutting the neckline for the front and that of the back. Okay, so this is what we have so far. Now I'm going to unfold this. Can you see? I've unfolded it. So this is what the neckline looks like. So the next thing we're going to do obviously is to pipe the neckline. Okay, now for our pockets, I just cut 2 pieces of the Aso-oke fabric to create my pocket, and I'm going to show you the dimensions. For the length of the pocket, what I have is 9 inches. Okay, so you want the length to be 9 inches, and then for the width, this is just normal Aso-oke width. I didn't cut the width of this pocket. So now I'm just going to fold it twice, half inch, fold it twice, and then just hem the top part of the pocket. Okay, so once we're done with our pocket, the next thing we're going to do is to place it on the piece and then sew it in place. Now from the shoulder, I marked 16 inches downwards, and that's where my pocket started from. But I actually brought it down lower later on. So I advise you to, you know, put your pocket at 18 inches from the shoulder. Okay, so please mark 18 inches from the shoulder. All right, it has a better look when the pocket goes down just a bit. So I'm just going to place the top part of the pocket on that line that I marked, and then the edges of the pocket are going to be folded inside, and then I'm going to sew the pocket down all the way round. Okay, make sure you leave the top part of the pocket open. Now from the sides, the pocket is 3 inches away from the side. Okay, so make sure that your pocket is 3 inches away from the side. It also depends on how big your piece is, but if you're joining four pieces of the ashoki together, then your pocket should be 3 inches away from the sides. So this is what it looks like. I've piped the neckline and I've put in the pockets. Now to create the fringe, I'm just going to mark 2.5 inches upwards. Now this depends on how long you want your fringe to be. For me, I want the fringe to just be 2.5 inches long. Okay, so just determine or decide what length you want your fringe to be, and then go ahead and mark that. So if you want your fringe to be 6 inches long, this is the time to mark 6 inches long. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to sew along that line. I'm going to sew along that line, both for the front and the back. Make sure you're sewing the front separately and the back separately. So just run 2 stitches along that line that you marked separately for the front and for the back. After sewing those lines at the bottom for the fringe, I'm just going to fold my piece so that I'm looking at the wrong side. Okay, fold your piece so you're looking at the wrong side, and then I'm going to mark my armhole opening. For the armhole opening, I'm going to use 8 inches. So from the shoulder, I just marked 8 inches downwards. If you want your arm opening to be wider than 8 inches, you can also mark that as well. So from that point, I'm just going to sew in half an inch, all the way down, right? All the way down to the point where I have that, stitch for my fringe. Okay, so we're going to stop right where we have that stitch for the fringe. So as you can see now, I marked that 2.5 inches. So I'm going to sew from that armhole opening all the way to that 2.5 inches where my fringe is going to start from. Okay, so just go ahead and sew that in place. Okay, so when it comes to creating the fringe, can you see I've already created these ones by this side, but I left these two so you see how I do it. So the first thing you want to do is, after sewing where you want the fringe to stop, after sewing, I sewed 2 lines. After sewing that, you want to loosen this joining up to that point where you sewed. So just loosen this joining because you don't really need that joining anymore. So as you can see, I've loosened the joining up to the point where I stopped my sewing. Now the next thing you want to do, I'm going to use just this one to illustrate how to do the fringes. So the first thing you want to do is you want to trim off this edge. Okay, trim off the edge very close. Don't make your trimming too wide. Just trim off the edge, because this edge is where the weaving is sealed. Okay, so do the same thing for this side. Trim off the edge. Now after trimming off the edge, you're going to take your seam ripper, and if you look closely, you're going to see that there are some black threads. Okay, I don't know if you guys can see it. There are some black threads that are weaved across like this. The main fabric you're looking at, which is this dark red and cream, is woven straight down, but there's a thread that's woven across that is black. So if you look closely, you're going to see that thread. So you want to just use your seam ripper starting from the first line and just push it out. Can you see the black thread? It came out very easily. Once you push it out, you can just pull it out. Can you see? You throw that black thread away. You go to the next line. Go to the next line. Push it out. That's why I like to use my seam ripper, because it can get into, that space where the black thread is. Pull it out. Can you see? So you keep doing that until you get to where you sewed. So just keep pulling out the thread like that, and as you pull it out, you're going to see that you have just the fabric threads left, the main fabric threads. So you just keep doing that. If you don't have a seam ripper, you can actually pull it from the edge here, but it actually takes more time. So can you see from the edge here, you can see the black thread. You can see the black thread. So you can pull it from the side if you don't have a seam ripper, but it's faster with a seam ripper. So this is what it looks like once we're done. Can you see? As you can see, I've gotten to the end because this is the stitch line right here. So this is what the fringe looks like. These are the other ones that I've done. So I'm going to do this one. This is the last one. I'm going to do this last one and we are done with this dress. And this is the finished look. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please hit the subscribe button. And if you found this video helpful, then give it a thumbs up. It really helps my channel a whole lot. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all in my next video. Bye.